Hello and welcome to online video lectures. In continuation of the Tribal India chapter, which I introduced in my last video, today there are few topics which I intend to complete in this session. It is also written on the board for you to see. Today we will begin with another topic, which is the dormitories in tribal India. And regarding the dormitories, there are three things which I intend to do with you today. The first one is the origin of dormitories, origin meaning the evolution of the dormitories. Second, we will go to the features of dormitories. And the third topic that I will be explaining today will be the cultural and educational functions performed by the dormitories. So let us begin with this term called dormitory. I presume that most of you have already come across or heard the term dormitory. Many of you, if you are staying as a boarder or you stay in a hostel, you already know what dormitory means. The first image that comes in our mind is a very large room with plenty of beds, and basically that residential structure is housing the students. The students may come from different backgrounds. You might have separate dormitories, one for the girls, one for the boys. Again, you might have separate dormitories for the seniors and juniors. But instantly, the image that comes to our mind when we hear the term dormitory is actually a residence or probably a place where children stay together. Taking this concept, I would like to explain to you the origin of tribal dormitories. Now we saw in our last class the definition of tribe where I explained to you that a tribe is nothing but a group of families who live together. So imagine a tribe, any tribe, all right? I will not go into detail with that. Any tribe where you have about 100 plus families living in a cluster, living in a group, and they have children along with them. The parents divide their work. They have division of labor. It is known to us that men were usually going out to hunt, or probably they were going out for agricultural purposes. In search of food, they used to wander. But the women were at home doing the household chores, like looking after the children, cooking food, looking after the family, etc. Now comes the children. While the parents were performing their own duties, what about the children in a tribal society? Did they just move around with their parents? Were they also given some amount of informal education? Today we live in a settled and a very civilized society. While the parents go to work, or even if a mother or a father is at home, the children all come to school. And as you all know, today we have the right to education, because of which all children, it is compulsory for all children from the age of 6 to 14 to go to school. So we have this system in a civilized society. Think about the tribal children. In the primitive days, did they go to any educational institutions? Did they also receive any informal education? Was there any section, all right, or any organization which was offering informal education to them? Let's try and find that out. Tribal dormitories, you will find it in this page 5.3. In your textbook in page 5.3, we have the topic dormitories in India. Let's first understand what are tribal dormitories. The textbook says that dormitories among primitive people was some form of association. Association meaning coming together. Like I gave you the image of a dormitory in a civilized society where children of different backgrounds and age come together. Similarly, dormitories in tribal India were also some form of association. Association meaning where individuals come together as a group, in which the young people, so it is very clearly mentioned here, the dormitories were not for old people. It was only for the young children who assembled together and passed through a process of training. So the motive of coming together, the real reason why they formed associations or came together was for informal training to acquire knowledge about the future roles in the society. So I would like to ask a question to you children. Why do you come to schools? Why do you feel that education is necessary in our lives? Today, why is the government passing this right to education policy? Why is the government working on the new education policy? So therefore, education is an integral part of the human society. This institution has to improve all the time. Similarly, if we go back thousands of years ago, or if we have to look into the tribal societies, yes, they also had this informal way of educating their children, and education on what? Regarding the future roles in the society. Today, when children are asked, why are you studying? For what reason? So many of them have the answer, I want to become a doctor, an engineer, I want to become, a graduate, or I want to become a scientist, or I want to do this and that, because at the end of the day, we all have to play a role in the society. We have to take the place of someone else. So therefore, we go through this process of education. Similarly, the tribal societies, maybe we did not find doctors and engineers and scientists, etc., but we did have people who were good hunters, who were good agriculturalists, somebody who was very good in maybe black magic, that role also they had to play. Somebody had to take the role of a shaman, somebody had to take the role of maybe educating the young girls on how to become a good mother, but it was a very informal way of education. In India, dormitories were bisexual. Bisexual meaning you could have both male and female staying together in a dormitory, similar to co-educational schools. If in the civilized society, modern society, we have co-educational schools, boys and girls sitting together and studying. In the tribal society, you also had bisexual dormitories. It could be monosexual, meaning exclusively for the boys or exclusively for the girls, are found in practically all parts of the country where tribal people have their habitation like. So where do we find these tribes? In India, we find them in Chota Nagpur Plateau, Madhya Pradesh, hilly regions of Assam. The tribes like Mundas, Hos, Oraos, Khariyas, Gonds, Bhuyas, Aos, Memis, Chang, Konyak, all had dormitory system. So either from the east to the west or north to the south in all parts of India, this is what they are trying to explain. Whether it become a patriarchal or a matriarchal tribe, every tribe does have a history of dormitory system. Many tribes now outside India, the question is now, did tribal dormitories exist only in India or was it found outside India? So we have the answer here. Many tribes of Melanesia and Polynesia. Melanesia and Polynesia are Pacific islands. The Pacific Ocean, which is the largest ocean in the world, also has plenty of islands. So the islands which are mentioned here are Melanesia and Polynesia. Here also we have found, the existence of tribal dormitories. There are different names for dormitories. Now, dormitory is an English name, so that everybody can understand. But these tribes had their own dialect. If you remember, when I explained to you the features of tribes, that time I told you one of the features is that they have their own language, they have their own dialect. So you cannot have all the tribes having a similar name or a term. Different tribes have different terms, For dormitories, it's written here, the Mundas and Hos call it Gitiora. So if you ever happen to visit a Munda tribe or a Ho tribe, Mundas are found in West Bengal, they are also found in Orissa, they are also found Hos are found exclusively in Bihar. So if you go to these tribal settlements and if you happen to talk to them about Gitiora, then they know that you are referring to a tribal dormitory. The Oraos are from West Bengal. They name it Jonkarpa, the same meaning, but a different term. They call it Jonkarpa or Dumkhuria. The Bhuyas, Dangarbasa. The Gonds are from Madhya Pradesh. They refer to their dormitories as Gotul. Then the Memis call their male dormitories as Ikoichi, and the girl is known as Eloichi. Memis meaning the Naga tribes. Memis is a clan. Memis is a Naga clan, and the Naga people have two separate dormitories, one for the girls and one for the boys. For the male dormitory, they use the word Ikoichi, and for the female dormitory, they call it Eloichi. Angami is another Naga clan. They call it the Kichuki. The Bhotias of the Almora district, they also had youth houses. They were called Rangbhang. So whether you refer it as Rangbhang or Ikoichi, Eloichi, Dhumkuria, Gotul, all these terms, it actually means a tribal dormitory and association where the young people come together. Then, in South India, the dormitories are found among the Muthavan, the Manans and the Palyans. The Kunikars also have a bachelor's hall not only to assemble and nurture young people, but also to welcome the guests. And sometimes the dormitory performed dual function, a dual role. Apart from imparting informal education to the children, sometimes it acted as rest houses. Rest houses meaning where you can also keep your guests. The tribal houses were very small, so sometimes when the guests came visiting, instead of keeping the guests, it was like a guest house inn, So they used to keep the guests also in the dormitories, So with this today, because of the time span, I'm just trying to wrap up my lecture here. In the next lecture, I'm going to continue with the same topics that I mentioned before. Thank you very much for watching.